Okay, we are recording live.
Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for stopping by. We have a very special guest for you today. Our guest is the founder of the Pelly Clinic, not just a regular chiropractor clinic, but one of the most cutting-edge clinics in North America. Today, we discuss why his clinic is so unique. Please welcome our good friend, Todd Pelly. Todd, how are we doing today? It's so good to see you.
Devin and Nigel, it's a pleasure to see you guys. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
We're fantastic. It's been a while. We've been all kind of locked away in our little cupboards here for about a year. So yeah, it's cool to catch up.
Yeah, we're starting to come out of the fog, aren't we?
I know. Yeah. It's looking good. You know, things are kind of, Reiko's just running behind there.
Slowly but surely.
But very first thing that we do on our show is we do something called Two Truths and a Lie. And so we've dug up some information and little bits about Todd here. Ooh. And what Devin and I are going to have to do is we're going to have to guess which one is the lie. Okay.
Let's go.
So, all right, you ready to go, Dev?
Let's do it.
Okay. Number one. Todd's shaking back there. It's like, what are they going to say about me? Okay. Number one, Todd is a competitive slalom water skier.
Damn.
Competitive slalom water skier. Okay. Number two, Todd once caught a fish so big it pulled him off the wharf into the lake, but he was still able to reel it in while treading water. I know he's a huge fisherman. I know he loves fishing, and he's a good swimmer. But
potential, true story.
Potential. Number three, Todd was voted best looking and best dressed valedictorian ever to come out of Sentinel Secondary.
We can just write that one off because that's obviously true.
That's obviously, and all the women would say that. I know Reiko and all of her friends that, they would totally agree with that. Okay.
That's my mother, Nigel.
That's my mother. I know it's your mother. I know. You're the chatter in the neighborhood here. Number four is Todd attended Simon Fraser University, where he obtained All-American status 3 times in the discipline of shot put. Okay, so I don't know if there's any lies in here.
The man of mystery.
What do you think, Dev?
I don't know. I gotta go.
Which one is the lie?
So, slalom skier water skier, slalom, I believe. Yeah. Definitely the best looking guy to go to the high school, 100%. I know some of those people who went to Sentinel. Come on. Yeah. What was the last one? Oh, shot put, Simon Fraser University. Let's go with the fishing one. Getting pulled off the dock. That's. I feel like you caught a big fish, but I feel like it's a little elaborate.
You know that any fishing story is a lie, right?
Yeah.
So no matter what, you had to go with that.
Yeah. Only true fishing stories told here.
I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other lies in there too, Nice.
So I'm gonna go with the Simon Fraser All-American 3 times in shot put.
That's a lie as well. That never happened. Yeah.
But okay, so that never happened. Okay. So, but to expand on that, you went to SFU.
Yep.
And you were an All-American 3 times in what discipline?
Okay, so I did decathlon at Simon Fraser University.
Oh, it was decathlon.
So there was shot put involved. However, out of the 10 disciplines, I would have almost as many points at the end if I just didn't use my shot put. It was atrocious. I would just be embarrassed up there. There's these behemoth, like just Adonis type guys.
Yeah.
And I would put it half what they could do. No joke.
Oh, no. Well,
but you're a decathlon. That's incredible.
Yeah. And actually one of the All-American things that we did, the reason I got it was from a 4x400 meter relay that we did. Right. And we had a really, really strong 400 meter crew, and we actually did very well with that. So we got All-American.
But you have Usain Bolt on your team or something? Or
yeah.
Just to bring it in.
There you go.
I'm not sure he can run that far. 400 meters is a terrible distance.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
Actually, I know he can run that far because he actually holds a lot of records, but
Yeah.
He's not as known for it, but
Yeah.
Mm.
So we're really stoked to have you on here, Todd. It's just fantastic, and you've kind of been a pillar, in our family for quite a few years since these guys, our kids were young, and we were all wrecking ourselves, and Devin and Dylan and Keena, these guys were in football and rugby, and Keena was falling off horses, and they were all wrecking themselves. They were all breaking bones and things like that. And then myself, had some injuries, and you guys have just been so good. And some of the technology, like I came in originally because you're a chiropractor, which was incredible what you were doing. But then all of the other things that you introduced us to, from laser therapy to the brain tap and everything else. Let's chat. Why don't we just chat about why your clinic is different? I mean, there's something that I should have mentioned in what I should have mentioned, and I'm not sure if Devin mentioned it in your bio, that you were voted #1 chiropractor in all of North America. Was it last year or the year before?
it was 2019. But let's put an
2019.
asterisk on that, because there
Okay,
is
I'll put an asterisk on it. I like
so
to.
there's different associations within our profession,
Right.
and this was one of the associations. So
Right.
and it was one of the smaller ones, truthfully. And I'd love to say, yeah, I'm the best in North America. That's just simply not the case.
Well, that's what I tell everybody, and it's
well,
it's,
you can
it's
go,
true
you
to
can keep
me.
telling people that if you want. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a group of chiropractors that I'm a member of, and I think they had to throw one finally north of the border, and they're like, oh, that guy's a nice guy, I'll just give it to him. So, and they changed the criteria a little bit too, because I mean, our office, it's a great little office here in North Van, but it's not the biggest office in the world, and we've got some really awesome people working with us. But if you look at people who won previous years and actually this year, they're running massive multidisciplinary offices, putting up very innovative work, and I just count myself very lucky to be in the conversation. And but I know that it was very lucky, and something that I would love to have done some point in my career. I'm just very fortunate that it happened this early. And it's kind of one of those things, like one of those, big, tall football players that matures too early. It's kind of like you reach your best moment too early.
Right.
And I just hope that's not the case here.
I don't think so. No, I mean, I know that. So chiropractor, you go back 20 years, and it was a little bit of almost like acupuncture, is a little bit of voodoo-y type stuff around it. But now it's become, I don't want to say mainstream, but kind of more cutting edge, and is being used a lot more to heal, right? So so what's happened? Like, why has there been a shift? Why are people, we're starting to accept this now? We're starting to accept this. We're starting to accept acupuncture, and we go deeper. We're looking at laser therapy and light therapy and all these other really cool technologies. So what's happened to us? Why? Yeah. What's going on?
I mean, as a profession, I think back in the dark ages. So it's been a profession since 1895, and right through the first, give or take, 100 years, 80, 100 years, it was very fringe, and it's the new kid on the block. It's very easy to point a finger and say, well, that's a sham. The schooling probably wasn't up to par. You could graduate with and they called themselves doctors, and they were actually, they're put in jail for practicing medicine without a license because they were calling themselves doctors. And truthfully, the schooling wasn't up to par of medical degree, or even a dentistry degree or something like that. And I think what's happened in the last 30 or 40 years is as a profession, we've come together, we've pulled our socks up, we've instituted some much higher standards, even just admission into the programs and the curriculum that is required before graduation. And as a result, it's given ourselves a lot more pride in what we're doing. We can deliver a message. We can speak on a more medical level. Now, you guys know me. I'm a very vitalistic type guy.
Yeah.
So I don't like to say, oh, I'm a doctor because I'm a chiropractor. No, that's not the case. But I think what's also happened is the wheels of change with public perception have been slow with anything in history. Things take time, and I think things are just starting to catch up. The research is catching up with what we've been saying for years. The results that we're able to achieve with patients. So you get that more on the grassroots side. Patient testimonials when they're talking to their friends. It's becoming more and more and more. So it's that groundswell of the 80s and 90s is really starting to come into bloom right now. And it might seem like it's right now, truthfully, Nige, but it's one of those things that it took me 10 years to become an overnight success. It's one of those things that has taken a really long time because it is so different. Our approach is different. I still remember my very first adjustment, and it was on the side of a track at Burnaby Central High School. And I bolted off that table thinking, what the heck just happened to me?
Yeah.
And it was strange. And that was in the late 90s. And I think it's become, our delivery is a lot better. Our languaging is better, and public perception is just kind of caught up with that.
And you're more into, I don't know, because I've been following TC, traditional Chinese medicine as well, and I think chiropractic and traditional Chinese medicine are more. It's almost like you're in it for the long run. Like it's longevity. It's giving a person longevity as opposed to I'm sick, I need fixing right now. It's something that you come in for your regular treatments and you get adjusted and you keep on that trajectory of health.
Well, that's exactly, Nigel. That's exactly what health is. Health is not
I'm sick, fix me. Yeah,
exactly. It's there's that old saying, when's the best time to take care of a sudden heart attack? Well, that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So health is not about putting fires out. It's about making sure the building has a good sprinkler system, and there isn't an absolute need for, emergency medicine, which chiropractic doesn't really fall in that category. We can help people that are going through difficult situations, whether it be low back problems or whatever. But truthfully, our best and healthiest patients are the ones that after they're out of an acute situation, they come back and they stay ahead of problems.
Yeah, I have a good friend of mine at Whistler. His name's Paul, and I use him as a model a bit. He's 9 or 10, so he's late 60s. And he skis like a beast. He mountain bikes like a beast. I call him the armadillo because he crashes a little bit. And he rolls in the ball like an armadillo.
Oh yeah.
And he gets up and he goes, "I'm good." And he really inspires me. And I'm, about a year ago, I said, "Paul, what's your secret, man?" He goes, "Well, I go to all these, I go to the gym and I go to my chiropractor and I go to my acupuncture and I do all this." And he says, "Nigel, it's not about, getting to the top of the mountain ahead of everybody. It's about longevity. It's about being able to do this for a long period of time. So I consistently do all of these things to keep myself going and be healthy and have a good life. It's not I break my arm and I go get it fixed. I have to, not break my arm in the first place, but it's all about longevity. And that's really affected me over the past year. I was like, you know what? It is all about longevity. It's all about longevity and maintenance. And that's what I see, with you guys is that it's a health clinic,
Well, you're making me smile because it sounds like you really understand what we're trying to say. And you can talk about that with exercise. You can talk about that with nutrition. It's not an overnight thing. It's like, oh, I've got this heart problem, I should start eating well. No, you should just generally eat well. You should exercise. You got to move these. You got to. Read good books. Surround yourself with good people. It's a whole multifactorial thing. It's not just get adjusted once and you're fine, right? It's not just go vegan for a month or go on a diet for a week. It's a lifestyle.
Exactly.
It's like tending to a bonsai tree. It's just the slow game that'll eventually get you there.
We couldn't have said that more perfectly ourselves.
I like that.
That's great.
I got a question though, just thinking right up in here. Like, so what do you think the percentage of people that like don't come into your doors seeking help have some sort of like unalignment or like a little bit of like scoliosis or something going on? You think it's everybody?
Yeah.
As a little bit, right?
it's one of those things. If you've got a job, if you've got children, if you have stress, if you sleep poorly, I mean, which is everyone.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that everyone needs to get adjusted. Yoga is fantastic. Physiotherapy is really, really excellent. And they're getting better every day. It's not just, oh, you need to go see a chiropractor. It's everything. So, but I mean, we'll have, let's say anybody that comes in our door, we're always going to find something that's not right. And some things, you can get away with, let's adjust you once and then we'll see you in 6 months. And sometimes it's a lot more than that. Right. So, but yeah, in answer to your question, Devin, we all have stuff, even mental stress. I mean, these last 15 months have been difficult. And 9 out of 10 people that I see on a daily basis right now, it's the physical manifestation of what's been going on between their ears. Are they having a tough situation with their kids? Is their marriage in trouble? Are they just missing having social interaction? I mean, it permeates every aspect of their lives, and it shows up physically. So as a chiropractor, I see all that stuff, but then we have to have those conversations. Well, what's going on? Okay, I can see that your x-rays look like this, or your nerve scan looks like that. What else is going on? What's causing that? And I used to think that, the cause would be bone out of place, sitting on a nerve. And that's what's, causing your radiculopathy or your inability to digest food or whatever it is. Right. But you got to look further up the chain now. And it's the stress, it's the physical stress, chemical stress. And the biggest one is mental stress. Right. And that's what I see. And yes, you're going to have your car accidents and your poor posture at your workstation. But I think that the body knows how to fix itself, and it knows how to regulate itself if you can give it a chance. And if it's under too much stress, you're not giving it that chance. And therefore, sitting at a desk, your kitchen table for 15 months because you don't go to the office, then that's causing a major physical stress that your body can't overcome because it's dealing with all these other stresses.
Right. It's finding like the root of the thing.
Right.
Kind of like traditional Chinese medicine stuff, like searching for the root of the thing, kind of like what Nigel was saying before, instead of like suppressing it with just like, oh, here, this is your symptom, here, take this pill, and yes, you'll be better. But it's finding the root of the cause. That's really good to hear. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I know we've got limited time here, and there's so much I want to talk about. There's something that's really, really helped me. I mean, there's the chiropractor, but there was also some of the other therapies. And one of them was laser therapy. And I know I came into you quite a few years ago. And I think at the first thing that I had a mountain bike crash, and I hurt my wrist. My wrist just wasn't getting better. It just felt like I'd cracked it, but I never really did anything about it. And it just kind of got all kind of gimpy. And then you said, well, let's try some of this new laser therapy on it. And so I came in a few times and we hit it with the laser. And 3 weeks went by after my last treatment. And the next thing you know, my wrist was completely fine. It's totally fine now. And I'm like, oh my God, like my wrist, it's fine. And it's been bugging me for like a year and a half. And then I remember I was having issues with my knee. And because I'd had a ski accident, I had a bunch of reconstructive surgery and a couple of surgeries way back on my knee. And it was really starting to bug me. I think I hyperextended. I did something again with it. And I had a big business trip. I was going to Norway and I couldn't walk. I was limping around. I'm like, oh my God. I came in and I saw you, Todd. I said, I got to go. I'm going to go for a few weeks. I can't walk very well. Could you maybe do some treatment on my knee with the laser? And you looked at it and you thought, yeah, let's hit this, and hit it quite a bit over the next 2 weeks before you go and see what happens. So I'd never forget this. I fly and I'm limping around for a while. I fly and then I get to Norway and I'm walking through this little village called Alesund in Norway, and I'm walking completely normal. And it's like, oh, I forgot I had a knee issue, and my knee hasn't bothered me since. And but backstory on that thing is I had gone and I went to a private clinic and I saw a top doctor on my knee, and she said, oh, people that have had knee surgery, when they were 30, yeah, I'm surprised you haven't got arthritis or whatever anything yet. And I was in my mid 50s at this point. And they go, yeah, it's just going to happen. You're just going to get arthritis and it's going to, whatever's going to bother you. And then I'm like, that's not acceptable. So then I went to physiotherapy here in Lynn Valley Clinic, and I had treatment for 3 months and nothing. And the end of it, I came to you. And then after that, I haven't had an issue since. So I don't know what's going on with this laser therapy, but a good buddy of mine is in the top 10 triathletes in the world in his age category. And about 4 or 5 years ago, I was talking to him because he was having issues training in his Achilles or something. And I said, well, I've been doing this laser therapy, and he goes, oh, okay. So he told me the other day, he said, that laser therapy you told me about a few years ago, I've been using it religiously and it's absolutely incredible. So I know I rambled on about it. I just wanted, but I don't know if it was hocus pocus that was getting me going or whatever, or placebo effect, but it's really worked well for me. And I think Dev, you had some rugby or football accidents too, right?
Yeah, on my broken collarbone, and it was just like giving me a lot of like pain and pushing against my skin and stuff. And yeah, then I think I had it on my wrist as well after I broke my arm or something like that, but I can't quite remember. But it definitely, I remember it helping. But yeah.
Yeah, laser is fantastic. It's kind of piggybacking on your body's on the cell's ability to repair itself, and it just speeds that whole process up. I mean, it increases blood flow and all that kind of stuff because it is quite hot, but it does speed up mitochondrial function. It increases cell membrane permeability, so you can get waste materials out of the cells faster, and vitamins and nutrients and proteins and stuff in there faster. And it's just pretty much a time machine. It just speeds the whole thing up.
Wow,
that's
remarkable. What's going on there?
I always see it as something like from Star Trek. When Bones would come in and you go do with that thing and you'd be healed.
Right.
This is what it is. Gene Roddenberry predicted the future again.
And we have to wear glasses.
And we have to wear. Yeah, that's right. But it really is something. And I just, I was like, I need one of these things in my house. Because I'm always wrecking myself. And
you should.
I know. I should.
You just sleep with it on.
I should.
Yeah.
Talking about sleeping with it on. So you also, which is really super cool, is you do this brain tap technology. And I think you have a new one that you're releasing you call it BEAR, BEAR, right?
You got it.
Are they all related, or what's the deal with these guys? Because this is something that's really, really cool too.
Okay. So first of all, let's take a step back. I think in anything in life, if you're not always trying to innovate and always trying to move forward, you're a dinosaur. And right. That could not be more true in our profession right now. There is so much changing that if you're not right on the cusp, you're getting left behind. So that's why we have done things like bring laser therapy in. We've done frequency specific microcurrent, which is also really cool. But the one, and then pulse electromagnetic field therapy, which I don't really want to get too far into right now because we do have limited time and it doesn't really answer your question. But the brain tap, is it's hyper cool. What it does is it's called entrainment, and so we're living in kind of different brainwave states at any given time. So we've got roughly 5. There's a hyper, like you're falling out of an airplane or you're getting chased by somebody with a gun, which is gamma wavelength pattern. Beta is where the 3 of us are at right now. So it's an engaged state. It's a higher level thinking, but it's not going to burn us out. Alpha is where the brain wants to be 90% of our waking hours. That's where creativity, imagination, happiness lives. And then on the other side, we've got theta, which is light sleep. That's where dreams occur. That's where REM sleep is. And then delta is deep sleep. So those 5 brainwave states, we want to be in those states for certain periods of time, but we don't want to stay in those states. And what brain tap does is I hate to say this, but it artificially moves us away from certain states and towards other ones. So I mentioned earlier that when we're awake, we want to be in alpha 90% of our waking hours. So, but what we're finding is, and we do this in our office with heart rate variability scanning, we can monitor people's brainwave states and we're living in beta, which is way too engaged, way too much. And what that means is that we're not in that creative state. We're not in that happy state. We don't have imagination anymore. I mean, we do, but it's just not as much as we did, because we're so stimulated with technology, with the economy, with schedules. And, you know, I've watched your kids grow up. I know how scheduled you guys have been over the years. But generally speaking, we're way too cerebral, fight or flight, beta, and sometimes gamma wavelengths. So what the brain tap does is through lights and sounds. It's called binaural beats. You can remodulate your brainwave patterns. It's called entrainment down to, let's say, alpha, or go a little deeper down into theta, and sometimes even down into delta. And what it does is we'll do heart rate variability scanning, and we can see that somebody's completely deficient in delta. So they might be sleeping, but they're not actually getting down into deep sleep. And so the brain tap, what we can do with that, and I wish I could take credit for it. All we do is just apply it. It's nothing that I can take any credit for, other than the fact that we brought it into the office. But you can get, and the studies have shown this is really cool stuff. In about half an hour, you can get 4 hours worth of deep sleep.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, damn is right. I mean, it's cool. I do it before most of my shifts, and I don't go down to delta, otherwise I'll be a zombie. But you know, I can bring myself back into alpha, sometimes even theta, just to get things creative again. Because if you're stuck in beta and gamma with a patient, you're not really hearing what they're saying. You're not feeling what they're expressing. And that's my world. That's chiropractic. But that does apply to a lot of other people. You know, I know you guys are an exceptional family, and you guys are probably living in a lot less stress than some people, because you guys have been conscious about it. You know, Nigel, I listened to your audiobook. I read your book, and then I listened to the audiobook. And I know that for a large part of your life, you were burning the candle at both ends.
Yeah.
You were going faster and harder and longer than most people even would understand. But what you've done is you've recognized that, and then you've consciously moved your family away from that. And then look at the product. I mean, Devin, you've got Kina, you've got Dylan, you've got Rieko. You guys are some of the coolest people I've ever met, because you've been very conscious about, you know, saying this isn't the way that we want our life to be. Sorry, I'm going on a huge tangent, and we just start talking about brain tap.
Yeah,
but
thanks for
sorry.
It's very kind of you to say that. Thank you, Todd. Yeah. The brain tap has been, because I know Reiko and I would come in for, you know, chiropractor treatment, then we go into the room and we would do the brain taps too, and we come out of there, it's like, ooh, you know,
right.
Yeah.
And that woo is kind of how we're supposed to be. It just feels so boring.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I don't know if it's because I'm getting older now. I tell people this now, because I've been dealing with these really weird anxieties that just kind of pop out of nowhere, and maybe I had it before, maybe I didn't, but it just seems to be much stronger and really affects me now, that I'm getting a little bit older. And that's why I've been getting into all these different routines. Devin and, you know, we've been doing the Wim Hof, and we've been doing all these things to kind of keep my brain in a certain way that I don't get these crazy anxiety attacks. And that seems to be working, but I should probably pop by and have some more of the brain tap, because I haven't been in for a while because we've been locked down for
no kidding.
a while, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, anytime you want, just let me know. We'll hook you up. We've got a whole new kind of, since you've been in, we took over, we've doubled our square footage, and
nice.
And so we have this back area now, and it's quite beautiful, if I don't say so myself.
Cool.
And we've got these little suites that people, you know, reclining chairs, and so they can really just kind of get right into it.
Wow, that's just great. So, and are you launching this your Bear technology? Is that coming up? You said, is it an open house or something?
Yeah.
I don't know. You probably can't talk about it. Actually, this won't this will be released after your open house. I don't know if you can talk about it or not.
Absolutely. I just don't want to sound like I'm being promotional. That's something I just don't feel comfortable doing. But the Bears program it's not us. It's what we've done is I've noticed a huge need with a lot of my patients that have come in over the years with acquired brain injuries, whether that's from cognitive decline, memory loss, or mild TBIs, traumatic brain injuries, concussions. There's once they get out of the hospital, whether it's emergency room or ICU, or even if they've gone as far as GF Strong, there's nothing left. It's just, okay, well, here's the world again. And a lot of these people are really, really, really suffering. So there was a big gap for us between care and actually getting healthy again, or getting out of a trauma situation and then recovery. So I found these guys, and they're amazing. They did the research through UBC, but they're based in Burnaby, and they've developed this program called BEARS, Brain Enhanced and Recovery System. And what they've done is through the idea of neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to remodel, re-network, rewire, basically recover from injuries, which even 15 years ago wasn't a real thing. And all the research, and it was always there. It was always, the brain hasn't changed, but the research hadn't caught up, just kind of like what we were talking about with chiropractic earlier.
Right.
And so through the idea of neuroplasticity, you do these exercises coupled with mindfulness. So the mindfulness pillar is what we're using our brain tap for. And physical exercise, believe it or not. A ton of research is talking about the benefits of physical exercise and brain health. John Rady, MD, for anybody who's listening, they might know that name. Did a ton of research, and he's written a great book called Spark. Right. And it talks about the long-term effect of physical cardiovascular exercise on brain health and IQ and test scores and standardized testing with athletes versus non-athletes, active versus inactive.
Sure.
And it's remarkable. So that's one of the pillars that we've incorporated into BEARS as well. And then the fourth pillar would be a monitoring system. So we've got it's a whole bunch of software that we chart people's progress, not just on the cognitive health, but on these other mental pillars that we look at as well. So it's a really complete system. It's a little bit daunting because it's a huge system that we're bringing into the office. We're excited about it. So we've done a few test subjects and we've seen remarkable things happen. And now we're kind of opening the doors on the 26th of June for an open house. And we're hoping that we get, 5 or 6 people that we can run the program through. And we're already at 15. And that was last time I checked, which was yesterday. So and the front desk is organizing the numbers. So I'm a little bit nervous that we might be bringing too many people in. In which, if that's the case, then we're going to stagger the starts. When we might start 4 at a time, one group, one cohort per month, so to speak, because we're going to launch this and we want to do it exactly right. We don't want to do anything halfway.
Right.
Wow, that's fantastic. It was just when you were talking about all that. Have you heard of Ben Greenfield? Do you know Ben Greenfield and his he's got quite a few books out, and he studies health, and he's dealing with all these different things. I mean, it's just like a medical encyclopedia. I don't understand half of it, but it's just, I was listening to his audiobook when I'm working out, and it's some of the stuff in there is just, it's just like a lot of the stuff that you've been talking about. He's I'm not sure where he's out of the States somewhere, but
I know the name. I can't place it right now. So
yeah, it's actually mind-boggling stuff. His audiobook is extremely good. So you would understand everything. I'm like 1% of I'm lucky, but
you give me way too much credit, Nigel. I'm learning as I go.
Yeah, we are. Dev, you had a question there?
No, I'm just excited to have you back on the show when you get this program running, and then we can touch base about how things are going with that. I think it's gonna be really cool.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And I guess we haven't really talked about, your past and why you got into it and stuff, but Devin, I mean, I know Dev's always really interested in knowing, if you had advice for somebody, let's say somebody Devon's age or younger, looking at Dev, you could maybe, if you want to.
Yeah, people who are just like kind of shy to the whole fact that they should be helping their bodies. Like I have a bunch of friends who, just work so hard, physical labor jobs, but don't ever want to go and get checked out, even though they're having back problems for quite a long time. And they're just like a little worried or scared or worried to be hit by a big bill. But at the end of the day, it's for your health. What would you have to say to those people?
Yeah, it's funny because I don't find the barriers to coming into the office really, it's generally not a cost thing, and it's not usually a fear thing. It's more of a, I'm 25 and I'm invincible.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Very true.
Because generally speaking, at 20, how old are you now, Devin? You're younger than that.
Turning 25.
You're turning
right
25, right?
Yes,
I think
sir.
I've known you since you were 11.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is crazy. But anyways, yeah. So it's because you guys heal quickly, and you're strong, and you can go to the gym, and you can develop great musculature and withstand a lot of trauma. But the problem is I just don't want anybody your age to wake up when they're 45 and think, oh, I wish I would have taken care of that. And we see our 45-year-olds all the time saying that. Our 65-year-olds saying, yeah, I've had this problem for 20 years. Maybe I should have taken care of it 20 years ago. Because things are progressive and degenerative, and the body does compensate from injury. And one thing becomes three things, and small things become big things.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well,
Like, how's your knee these days, Dev?
No, it's doing good actually. Yeah, it's doing good. It's a little sore sometimes, but I totally understand what you're saying. It's like just keeping on top of it and keeping care for like the longevity, the future. Yeah,
Right.
tending to yourself, like the bonsai tree. Tend to
You
it.
like the bonsai tree. I love that.
Tend to
I'm
it.
going to steal that from you.
Yeah, you go for it. That's part of your profession. You use that one.
Right.
I'd be honored.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Well, that's awesome. Is there any other little bits and pieces that any other questions or anything you got, anything you want to say, Todd, before we look at wrapping her up here? Because I know
I mean, I've got a question for you guys.
Oh,
yes.
What, I mean, because as long as I've known you guys, and Nigel, when I listened to your book and read your book, it really, really woke me up to who you guys were. Because I kind of knew you guys as you are now, but the backstory of how you got to be who you guys are, which is very, very special. And it's actually something that I've tried to model my own family after, because you guys have found the secret sauce. But what's going on with you guys? I mean, the world's starting to open up again. Do you have any plans?
Ooh, Dev.
Yeah, no, definitely. We got lots of plans. We got lots of things on the horizon. So me and my girlfriend started a fire spinning company a couple of years ago. So things are starting to open up. Events are starting to happen. We're starting to look at bookings for that. In-person training is coming back. Film industry stuff. I've been doing acting, so that's kicking off right now. But honestly, I hear from like a lot of people, it's like you talk about the whole COVID experience for them. You hear one or two things, and I've talked about this before on other podcasts, but it's like you hear, this is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. It destroyed my entire life. Or I totally grew from this. We totally remodeled our company, and we're so much stronger for having go through this, right? So, and there's never anything that's like right in the middle. Like, oh yeah, no, it's just life was the same. So yeah, definitely. Like I feel like I've grown a lot from this whole pandemic and world. I think the world has been shaken up like a lot, and I think it's a shake that I don't want to say we need it, because it's like obviously it's a very sad and lots of people die, but I feel like we kind of needed to be humbled to the fact that everything isn't just going to always be this perfect, somewhat of a perfect reality that we think we live in, and you do have to be pushed and grow. So I feel like I'm on the side of we're growing and we're doing good. So thank you for asking though.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
It's been a really interesting, I mean, coming out of the pandemic, it's really interesting, but it's funny because I had a phone call this morning from my insurance broker, and I just did my whole health thing for my company and all that. And I've been approved and blah, 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 blah. And, we both said, she said, I actually, this whole COVID thing for her was wasn't so bad because she had more time with her husband, more time to get into her routine of health and et cetera, and look after herself as opposed to rushing around. And I said, you know what? I hate to say it, but same thing for Reiko and I. Like we and Devin really helped us get into this morning routine. For me, a morning routine I would wake up first thing. What do? I check my phone, right? 7:30, 6:30, whatever. Check your phone, see what's going on in the world. And as soon as you do that, your mind goes into dealing with issues, right? You don't have time to get your body prepared. So during COVID, I was getting up earlier and starting off with this morning routine. And now every morning it's like an hour and a half. It's an hour and a half, but I keep building on it and moving it. And I come out of that, and then it ends with this cold plunge, which we were talking about, and still do that. We just did it. I just did it before this podcast, and just being totally like vitalized for the day and it's got me into this routine that I need. And now, so coming out of COVID into the new world, which we're all going to experience, I've actually evolved. I really feel that myself, Reiko, Devin, all of us, we've all kind of evolved in kind of a cool way, which is I think for the better. And like Dev said, it's really tough on the people on the planet. A lot of people unfortunately got really sick, and a lot of people died. But for a lot of people I know, at the very beginning it was, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And then as things progressed along, it's just like, we're humans and we're incredible at adapting, and the human species can adapt. And I think, hopefully, most people were able to adapt and learn and take the best parts of this. And so for the future, I just, I'm really super excited. Things are different. They're going to be changed. We got a big fishing trip planned with the whole family, 8 of us going north to Kispiox, northern BC, to float the river for 4 days and 3 nights on the river in August, and going to Tofino in September again to do some surf. Like we're just really blessed and fortunate. So yeah, like Dev said, thanks for asking.
Yeah. No,
Awesome. And you guys are all good. The family's good. Everybody's
we're good. I mean, very similar.
You guys are busy. You guys are busy.
We're very busy. I mean,
your kids are still
an entire season of baseball has been crammed into 4 weeks. And since we opened, it's just full speed ahead for both kids. But can you think of anything better? I mean, we're all at the park. We're playing baseball. It's, soccer is starting to kick off again. It's just, it really gives us perspective on, what's important. It's similar to us. I think we've been massively overscheduled, and the lessons hopefully aren't lost. Because we could very easly start to go in that direction again, and I think we already are. But we have to start to pull back, and because if we're just going, then all of a sudden I'll have way more gray hair than I already have, and and my kids will, it's just, I don't know, like the lessons learned, like you said, Devin, through COVID, they are very, very special. And human species and race, we've had, triumphs and setbacks throughout our history, and this is just gonna be one of those where we grow and learn from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. It's interesting because we're interviewing Jamie Alvarez right after this, like about half an hour. And he's always like, we've had lots of calls during COVID, and he has his fired. He's a Peruvian shaman that's become a really good friend of the family. And at the very beginning of COVID, he said exactly what you just said. Now is a time where we need to come home. Like, humanity needs to come home, back to their families, spend time with their families. And that's just basically what it's done. It's actually forced us to do that and to look at things in a different way. And this was a year where everybody came home. Totally. And, I think of that and I think, you know what? He's right. Yeah.
I can't wait to listen to what Jamie has to say.
Jamie's incredible.
He's one of the coolest people I've ever met.
It totally, yeah. Devin's fortunate. He's done a few trips here in Peru with him, and we're all over. But he's an incredible guy. Yeah. You're fantastic.
Yes.
We love you.
Well, we love you. I love you guys.
And with that, I feel like this is a good spot to wrap it up. If you guys would like to know more about Todd Pelly and the Pelly Clinic, we will put the links in the description of the video. Other than that, thank you so much, Todd, for coming on the show. And any last thoughts for us before we say goodbye here?
No, Thank
No.
you, you guys.
Perfect.
I'm very honored to be here. It's humbling. And you know, I've known Nigel but I've watched you, Devin, grow up, and
Mhm.
it's really awesome to see who you're turning into as a man.
Oh, thanks,
So,
man.
and this podcast is obviously going to reach a lot of people and hopefully influence them. And you guys, that's just pat yourselves on the back. Good job.
Well, thank you.
Oh, thanks. Oh, thanks,
That
Todd.
means a lot, man. Wow.
All right, we'll sign off on that note before I start crying here.
First.
Okay, thanks, thanks,
All right.
Todd.